morning. It is Saturday the 21st of January. I don't know if you can see behind me, but I'm at the boat ramp. This morning I was beating on my chest and saying, screw it. I don't care if it's like 12 degrees outside. It's not. It's warmer than that. But I don't care how cold it is. I'm going out. Got the kayak. There's some maintenance things that I need to attend to. And I thought I'd bring you along for the journey. One of the key things that needs to be worked on, and I wanted to show you one of the main reasons that I am not the biggest fan of my Lowrance Hook2. I don't know if that's too strong or not strong enough. Don't want you to think I'm indecisive about my feelings on it. I've actually got some pretty strong feelings on it. It's quite a bit of money for something that they could have done a lot better, and we'll see. So it's going to consist of three different things. Number one, two of them are really simple, but I wanted to explain them to you. I'm going to have to flip this thing around. The iPhone does not give you the option of simply shooting one side and then flipping it and shooting the other side. So I guess probably none of them do, but anyways, let me stop here and I'll pick it right back up. The first thing I'm going to do is these are H rails, I think that's what they call them, or what they are is a replacement. I think they're standard on Outbacks, but in the back cockpit, back where those other rails are, this set, like in this well area right here, on Outbacks, there's a kind of a notch out. There's one here, and they come with those rails. Okay. Here. But back here, I believe it's either a net or a bungee cord or something like that, and it's a straight swap out to have those back there. And what it does is allow you to use these tie points, and in my case, I think it's called a boom stick or something like that. It's a way of attaching a GoPro or recording device of some type. The way that these are mounted on here are through bolted through the hole with a backing nut made out of polyester. There's a whole video I did on that, and you can access it by open this hatch. This has become loose, and I just want to go ahead and tighten that up. And I don't know, it seems like whenever you do one little thing, it turns into 57. The other thing is I tried to switch this stand-up bar. I think they call it, this is for sure an H rail or K rail, for sure, one or the other. And it's basically a sissy bar or a stand-up bar. And I've traditionally had it mounted here, and I was proven correct yet again that these are so easy to bust and lose. Once you have it, just leave it on the kayak. I mean, mount it like I did. I didn't bolt it, screw the base down here, and then slide it back that way. I actually have it mounted. I'm using the swivel clamps and there's 4 of them. There's 2 more in that pouch back there, but it'll be mounted here, and I think back here somewhere, like right there. And then when I'm not using it, or when I'm got it in travel mode, you just collapse it. You know, the things collapse and clip into each other like that right there. But it lays down just in front of the seat, and then you can run the straps over the top of it here, where this is right now. The problem is that you buy a H-rail configured for the kayak, that the Hobie that you own. In this case, I bought one for a PA-14, and it uses this size rail tube. And let's put it back over here. I've got it in like a cinematic setting. You can see how long it is, and that accommodates the width across the cockpit. This piece here is an additional piece that I bought when I bought those rails there, and I just cut it, and this is actually about a PA-17 width, and it'll allow you to mount it in the back like I was attempting in an earlier video, just 1 or 2 prior. I'm not real happy with the way it was setting, and I for sure was not happy with the way it collapsed. If you have something bouncing around and smacking around stuff, you're just going to start beating the piss out of your kayak and your tubes, and they are like an 8-sided extruded aluminum tube, and they're strong, but if you can avoid beating the piss out of them, avoid. So what I did was, these were they had nuts here. Either that or they were riveted. I'm not quite sure which one. It may have been riveted. That piece was riveted in here, and I took them out and put clevis pins and these clips so that I could pull them out, take this tube out, put that one in. So that's one thing I'm going to do. I was thinking, I'd pull it off the trailer, rig it up, and go out and go kayaking. The wind is picking up. I don't know if you can hear it, but it is, and it's doesn't sound like as much fun as you would hope it would be. So I'm going to fix this and then put it in. Well, I may yank it off the trailer just so I can get it mounted back. But the third thing that I've got to fix, and this is about the Lowrance, is this is a standard Hobie mounting right here. This is for a 12-volt battery. Obviously you can read it there, and it's clamped to the I guess sail tube, and it's this box right here, and this size battery just snaps right in there and it holds it completely safe. Well, my angst with Lowrance is this shoddy little wire that they supply for power, and in saltwater conditions. Now this, I hear people whining and moaning about the PA-14 just bringing in water, shipping water, and this hole being full of gallons of water. I've never had that. Even when I've hit it with a pressure washer and intentionally blew water past that gasket and that gasket, I've never had an issue. So the point I'm trying to make is that when it's not hooked to the battery, it's laid out here and suspended, so it's never in salt water. I go to great lengths to ensure that it's not in salt water, yet this little bitty wires are constantly rusting and just snapping. And they look like they're connected, they look like everything's hunky-dory. They're not. Keep that in mind if you buy a Lowrance Hook2, this is the power cable. Now, there's the power cable going into the back of the unit, and that's the transducer. You would think that they would have used a little beefier cable for the power. I mean, sure, there's some data going through the transducer cable, but they could have put a little bit more serious cable down. And when I bought these, I had an incident with the original manufacturer's cable that came with it, and it wouldn't stay plugged in there. It's a friction, it's held on by friction, that plug right here. It kept popping out. The seal was so tight that when you would put the plug in, it would compress air and get it so compressed that as soon as you let go of it, it would push it back and it wouldn't make the connection. So I ordered replacement cables, and this is one of them, and you can see, I mean, if it's right here in the front of my kayak, and that's the length of the cable. Now, I assure you, I didn't shorten up the cable. It's not very long. I did buy two. I've got an additional one. That's my advice to you. If you buy a Lowrance Hook2, go ahead and go on eBay. I think they're like $14, $15. Go ahead and get yourself a couple of spare power cables. You're going to need them. So that's the plan. That's what I'm going to do today. So let's get busy. I'll get you back in when I've got something done. Okay, I've stripped and shortened the wire yet again. I decided to, it was longer, and I folded it and compressed it there at that length, thinking that maybe when I put these compression crimp-on terminal lugs on it, that I could have more of the insulation up inside the terminal where I crimp it. And I'm probably going to have to go ahead and get some dielectric grease and put it on there to help anti-corrosion it. One of the things that I'd highly recommend is go ahead and get yourself a pair of wire crimp pliers, and get yourself a package of crimps, connectors, because you will need them. And I keep mine in my kayak box when I load out the kayak. That goes with it. So I would definitely recommend that you have them, because unlike this last time, I didn't realize that the thing wasn't had a very poor connection until I was already out on the water. Decided that, hey, maybe I'll turn my Lowrance on. It was then that I realized it, and you can see that it's in the front of the hatch, and the seat is back there. So getting up here and getting that big bucket out of that hatch to get to the battery, to get to the terminal, and you're in the water, yeah, that's a no-go. So just do yourself a favor, do your pre-checks. It's what I failed to do, and I paid the price for it. Those bolts right there that are through the hull, both washers, those are all stainless steel, and that's what that's an eyelet to clamp and clip the drive, the 180 drive leash to it, for safety and for just peace of mind. If you ever flip this thing and your drive isn't fully leashed, you lose that's $1,000. So leash your drive, your pedals, and make sure that they're connected every single time without fail. Alright, let me get this finished. I've gone through and tightened that up, and I will tell you that there's four mounting points on. I did these this rail, that rail, and then the two rails in the back. The two farthest ones, and this one and that one, are the biggest pain in the rectum. Reminds me of that old joke, rectum hell, it damn near killed him. But they are indeed troublesome, and more than a few spicy talk words were used in doing this. The problem with it is you can see that square mount that these tubes are mounted through. Okay, there's a gasket, and then on the face in here, I don't know if you can see it there, sorry for being sideways on you, that face, you unscrew it and there's a gasket there, and that's what allows the through hole without a lot of water encroachment, like if you get water over the bow. Now I guess the tubes are have an opening in the end of them, so mainly, in my opinion, is for if water does come into the kayak there and it doesn't run down the drive well, they'll flow into those tubes and they won't fill up with water and just stay there, and every time you put your rods in there, and you can see that's what they are, is they're rod tubes. There's 3 rods there and there's 3 rods there, that they rot your fishing poles. So to get to that bolt, that screw right there, and that mounting assembly, that whole assembly has to come out. There's no two ways about it. I suppose if you're a plastic man, you may be able to do it, but not being plastic man, I was unable to do it. I also wanted to show you the completed connection, and I will either be putting a shrink tube over it and shrinking it down, but I've done that before. Okay, it would be just better served to, and you can see the other one, the ground is got green on it already. It's just saltwater environment. You know, salt water's going to do what salt water's going to do. The last thing I wanted to show you is the size difference between the two cross rails. Obviously the wider one is designed for a PA-17, and it would mount in the same spot on the PA-17 as the PA-14. You can see the PA-17 is quite a bit wider. In any case, I've taken it apart, and I'm sure there'll be Hobie professors that'll have something to say about that. You know, there always are. And I wanted to show you these the clevis pins that I used. Okay, it's not rocket science. Just go down and get yourself whatever size hole you drilled in the rail here, or no, there was a bolt, because there's the lock, the formed hex nut. That's how, so that you don't need a wrench to tighten against it. So the screw must have come in this way, and then a nut here, and I must have just had to have increased the diameter to get this clevis pin in there. And you just slide it in there, and it's adjustable. And because rightly so, because I didn't know what the outside diameter of this was, and that would be kind of key to know. So just go down to this. I got them at Home Depot. They're kind of spendy for what they are. I think they're like $3 each, something like that. And then of course the pins, clips retaining clips to keep them in there, and there it is. So I just pulled the clips off, shoved those clevis pins through, separated the two halves, and I'm going to put this one in, and it will return to the size of the PA-14, and it'll be remounted. And I was incorrect. That stays in my car in that collapsible box back there. pretty much all the time. There's a safety equipment that stays in there, a box of scars and candy. All that stays in that collapsible one or double-sized milk crate. So it's always in the vehicle with me, with a multimeter and like stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and clip this together, and I'll join you for the last. Okay, that's it. I appreciate you watching the video. I'm just going to go that way. The stand-up assist. I think it's a K-rail, H-rail, something. There's a name for it. The battery connections, you can see that they're outside, not in the weather. The kayak stays inside in storage, and the thing is tightened up. So thank you for watching, and if this is any value to you, give me a like, consider subscribing, and have a great day.